Nancy, welcome. My name's Jane-Michele Clark. On the line with us also is Deb McKenzie in Virginia from the Schulich School of Business, SEEK, actually. Welcome to our webinar. I'd like to take you, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little bit about the program, explain to you how it works, and tell you a little bit about the program overall. This program is one that has been listed and regarded for many, many years as Canada's #1 marketing program of this type. And what's really interesting about it, it's the only one in Canada, the only one that we've been able to find actually in North America that it actually has endorsement from a university. And originally it was started with Canadian Marketing Association, and now it's been endorsed by the AMA from Toronto. So what I want to do is we're going to go through a few different things with you today. I'm going to give you an introduction to the school. From there, I'm going to tell you typically who takes it and the types of people that you're going to meet while you're in the program. I'll take you through the program itself, and then we'll give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have any at the end. But you probably notice there is a slide to the right that talks about storytelling. And one of the things that we're finding today, it's not only about what it is that you have to say and what you have to sell today. It's more about telling the story in a way that's going to be relevant for the people who are part of your community, because today it's about communities as well as the individuals that are purchasing. We know that the relationship people have with their brand has changed as well, because people want to engage not only with the brand, but the other people that are purchasing the products. And then part of that is figuring out what is it that we as marketers have to tell people to get that story right, and how is it that we do so. One of the things that I really like when I think about that is Gary's quote, which you see on the right-hand side. He said that's why Nike is Nike, why Apple is Apple, and why Vince McMahon makes $1 billion. I don't know about you, but a lot of people, when we hear the Vince McMahon name, they go, who on earth is Vince McMahon? I don't know if you know or not, but Vince McMahon is the founder of WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. And I would love to look like him at the age of 69, maybe not quite as, buff as he is, but certainly in that kind of shape. But everything that Vince has done throughout his entire life is focused on the one thing. It's focused on his brand, who he is, and the story that he tells about himself, what his career aspirations have been along the way. They've always focused on WWE in some way, shape, or form. And he's built a brand around that by being very consistent to his story, his messaging, and making sure that he's had the credentials behind his name. And it's not coincidence when they had to change it from WWF because of concerns about Worldwide Federation, that he chose an E for entertainment, because that's what it is today. It's very much about edutainment. We're looking at entertainment, and I accidentally said edutainment because that's what education is today. We look at how do we give you the information in a way that is also palatable, in a way that's entertaining for people. And as we look at how the Schulich course came together, the one that I'm hoping that you'll be taking, it's very much how do we make sure that you have a good time, because when you are enjoying yourself, it's a lot easier to absorb the material. When you have an opportunity to engage with your peers and be able to apply that learning in a form that is interactive, it makes that learning stick all the more. So what we're going to be doing is talking about how we do it at the Schulich School of Business so that you do have an entertaining and very educational experience. SEEK, which is the part of the organization that will be, it's the Schulich Executive Education Center. It is one that is offering the program that you'll be taking. Comes under the auspices of the Schulich School of Business. Schulich is ranked #1 by The Economist in terms of programs such as the one you'll be taking, programs such as the Masters in Marketing Communications. Financial Times ranks the MBA program, and I'm saying the executive MBA program because the same rigor that gets brought to the executive MBA program is applied to all of our master certificate programs. It's #1 in Canada and among the top 30 in the world. And usually when you hear the top 30, it means you're at the bottom. We're number 27, actually, ahead of all of the other Canadian schools that were ranked. Financial Times of London says that we are #1 in Canada, 27th globally, and 11th among all programs in North America. That's a lot of the Ivy League schools in the States as well that we were ahead of in terms of our executive level programs, which is important for you to consider when you're thinking about the types of program and content that we put together for our students. We're also ranked number 2 in the world, according to Corporate Knights. And in case you've not heard the publication before, they focus really on responsible business. It's a very strict and rigorous focus in terms of sustainability, the companies that are good to work with, companies that believe in basing their programs, their offerings on values, and do everything they can to ensure that their corporate values are in alignment throughout the execution of their day-to-day business. They also have a major circulation that's distributed by the Globe in Canada and the Washington Post in the United States. I'm telling you all this to set the stage for why so many executives around the world want to be able to have that York/Schulich Executive Education Center logo on their program certificate, and why they choose us over a couple of the other options that are available. Options that take a whole lot longer than our 3-month program, of course. In terms of starting the program right now, this is probably one of the best times. Right now, there is an Ontario job grant, and it says limited funding because the applications have already started and there are a limited number of applications. Typically, there's still funding right through to the end of August, but if enough people apply for those grants early on, then the government starts to cut off. There are a limited number that are available. And we just had an election. So as I say, for now, we're not sure what's happening to the program. To the best of our knowledge, it is continuing, but for now, it's a good idea to get in if you're thinking of getting the grant money. It varies. I don't know how large your corporation is, but if there are fewer than 100 employees, you'll get up to 85% of that money. And every employee is entitled up to $10,000 a year. So if you've not taken advantage of a grant yet, then please apply so that most of the cost of this program gets covered for you. Deb McKenzie is on the line. Deb, I don't know if you'd like to say a few words about the program.
No, actually, you really covered it. I just wanted to say it's been around since 2014, and we have been successful if you apply and meet the qualifications of getting many organizations through this. So I encourage you. It comes to the end at the end of 2019. So this is the year to do it if you're thinking of taking the Masters in Marketing Communications Leadership.
And from everything, thank you, Deb. And from everything I understand, Deb is a whiz. She'll hold your hand and practically fill out the forms for you to make it as easy as possible.
Exactly. I've got the agencies to help.
And not only do we have Deb who's available to be able to help, but in the event that with the remaining portion you need an installment plan, Seek has plans available if that helps you at all. In terms of why is there a need for this type of a program in the marketplace, and why was it created in the first place? Alan Middleton is a name that you may very well recognize. He is considered to be Canada's foremost expert in terms of brand strategy, often speaks on the matter, has done a lot of work with agencies and through agencies over the year with companies whose names you would recognize and admire. Some of the things he says is, we now recognize that marketing communications includes planned and unplanned and unconsidered communications. So in your job, you probably find from time to time that things will pop up on social media, or you get repositioned by something else that happens with your competition. All kinds of things have been magnified in the last couple of years because of tools that non-marketers have available to them to promote their products, and quite frankly, for consumers to be able to complain about brands. So we find there's a lot of firefighting now, more so than there used to be before, and an increased need to be on top of your brand to find out what is it that people are saying. Because the perception of value, the perception of the brand today is as important as the actual product and delivery that you see. He says we see increasing fragmentation of target markets and media. What we are able to do now, thanks to big data and tech that is available to us, we can actually have tiny little markets that we are able to target very specifically in ways that we couldn't do before, which is creating changes in how we look at messaging, changes in the tools that we bring to the table to make sure that the right message is getting to the right person at the right time, so we can offer them the right product in a manner that makes sense for them and at the right price, so they perceive there to be value in comparison with all the other options that are available in the marketplace to them. So part of what we end up covering in this course is, how do you tailor the message to the right person in a way that not only provides value to the customer, but still creates a profitable exchange for you and your organization. His next comment was that we need to integrate appropriate messages around the brand today more than ever, because there's so very many touch points that consumers can use to interface with the brand. We want to make sure that the message is cohesive and coherent for the target audience that we're going after. Today, people are able to see our marketing messages in so many different places than they could before, that we want to make sure that not only are we integrating the messages, that we're leveraging our social media tools to make, and all our social networking sites, to be able to make sure that they work synergistically, and quite frankly, so that we can extend our marketing budgets that more fully than we were able to do in previous years. And a couple of the speakers that we have on our program will be talking about how do you do that, and how do you make sure that you get that message consistently across the board, which goes nicely into his last comment, which is we need to manage the brand at a high level, as a high level strategic asset. Today, there's nothing more important to our brand than our brand names. The valuation that goes beyond the brand that, Interbrand and other companies do is just a small part of it. But our ability to engage our customers, our ability to be able to move forward, to be able to create meaningful relationships for our employees, with our organization as well, all of that requires that we invest appropriately in our brand, and that it fit as an integral part of our overarching business strategy. And today, you'll see that this is an important thing for all organizations. And as a result, it's one of the elements that gets included in the program. Now, you don't know a whole lot about me. I'm not going to spend very much time telling you about myself, but I do want to let you know that I've been at Schulich for many, many years. I've been teaching one way or another for about 35 years. I'm also a member of our Teaching Excellence Task Force. And the goal that we have, not only for the task force, but me as the incoming and new leader of the Marketing Communications Leadership Program, is to make sure that everybody has a truly excellent experience, because I find that the more you engage and the better that your experience has been, the more that you're going to learn. And what I bring to the table is the ability to see what companies need. I've been doing this for many, many years, running my own company or working in an advertising agency now at a very senior level here throughout the States, Europe, Middle East. You probably have never heard of my company, but you would recognize all the firms with which we've done business over the years. I've also done a lot of work researching what it is that organizations are looking for in terms of the employees they hire, especially in the area of marketing communications, and what it takes for somebody to get hired. And as a result of the work that I've done in that area, as well as the stuff that I've done on the business front, because I have been running programs now, marketing communications program, as well as business strategy program from companies here and in the Middle East for many years now. As I said, I was asked to be the keynote speaker on the World Congress of Marketing in India. And some of the things that came up, and I'd like to just share a couple of those points with you. What we're finding is that now that we've had digital came in so long ago now, it seems that most people don't even talk about digital advertising, even though that is one of our topics. What we saw was a lot of fragmentation in agencies, and I'm not sure if you experienced that within your own firm or the agency that you use. We had an agency that did everything, and then we had the digital component hive off for a little bit. And then we found the social media people were doing something differently. And the result is that agencies got a little fragmented, that sometimes, in some instances, the right hand didn't always know how the left hand was working. Or worse, some of the campaigns were no longer as integrated as they needed to be, as Alan was alluding to earlier. So what we're now starting to see is the beginnings of consolidation, and clients are telling us that they need leaders with a more comprehensive skill set. So thinking about this, when we put together the speakers who would be part of this program, we wanted to make sure that you would have a really good foundation on which to enhance your marketing communications career. You've already done a lot of good things, I'm sure, to be taking an interest in joining us today. But we know that what is required is expertise in varying areas, because, as I said, we're starting to see consolidation. We're starting to see departments coming together, and the expectation that not only will we have cross-functional teams, but that people in each of those teams or each of those members will be able to contribute in many different ways related to marketing communications. The next point I had brought up was that everybody is, and as I said, rightly so, talking about customer experience today. It's all about customer centricity. How do we make it better for the customers? How do we bring their perspective into it? How do we deliver a product or service? And at Seek, we ask the same question: how can we give you an experience that will respond to your needs? But It only works when customer centricity, not only is it an important part of your business strategy, but that we weave it into the overall brand experience. So one of the topics that will be covered as part of the program is how do you do that? How do you ensure that you are hitting the right notes, the right touch points with your customer? How do you collect the data to ensure that you are giving them an experience that is good for them? There was a time when we talked about the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I often ask classes, do you think this is a good idea? Of course, they all say yes. And then I yell, no, it's not. We want the platinum rule, which says you need to treat the customer the way the customer wants to be treated. So one of the elements in this program is how do you figure that out? How do you do the data, as I said? And then how do you make sure it's still going to be profitable for the organization? Which leads nicely into the other point, which is you can never underestimate the need to be able to leverage that big data. What are the points that you're going to collect? There are so many data points now that are available to us. We can collect them through sensors, through online trolling, through looking at the cookies you leave behind, by integrating what you say in a voice with what you are looking at online, dropping little pieces of information everywhere. I don't know if you've experienced it or not, but you could have been looking up something online. You wanted to go to Spain, for example. And then the next thing you know, on your phone, you're getting messages in terms of spas in Spain because you had now looked at spas somewhere and Spain somewhere else. And good marketers are starting to pull that together. But you've got to figure out how is it you're going to do that to enhance your business, because there's so much we could be collecting. And quite frankly, it's very expensive to collect everything. And most people can't take that information and synthesize it in a way that makes sense. If I were to use an analogy, it would be like taking a fire hose coming right out of the hydrant with all kinds of data. You can't drink from that. So in the data analytics portion of this program, we're going to take you through how it is that you can take that big fire hose and condense it into something that makes for a good drink, but still be able to pick up the right droplets of water that give you the tools that you need to make informed decisions on the basis of your business strategy that still work for your customers. And as I said, tech is changing the game, not just for people that are developing your products and services, but also for the people such as you and me who are helping our clients or helping our companies to take that marketing communications activity, take it to the next level. And all around the world, we're finding that more and more people are wanting to hire and to promote the people who have the skills to do exactly that, which is what this course is about, giving you a good, solid foundation upon which to further your career. So from an organization's point of view, they are getting somebody who is able to better respond, and you already are probably doing a fabulous job, but having that little edge, that extra bit of current data that can help the organization move forward, give you some new approaches, be able to look at the way things are changing and figure out, are there some new things that because I work so hard at my job, I just can't keep abreast of everything that's going on. So we give you up-to-date information to be able to help you with that. And your company will have somebody who is able to better understand how the marketing role fits within the rest of the organization. It'll enable you to be able to provide more input to the other people in the organization to better function on a cross-functional team if you're a member of one of those. And you are going to become a better leader, a better contributor from everything to do with marketing communications, because you're going to have a broader set of skills. So not only will it enhance your own skill development, but one of the most important things that we're seeing today for people in terms of job satisfaction, being able to enhance their career, to grow, to perhaps even transition to a new job, is being able to have peers with whom they can network, people that they can use to grow in their current position, to be able to get information from. And as I said, if you wanted to transition, having somebody else that you've met through a program such as this is always invaluable. The program itself has been around for 16 years, and every year we get somewhere between 20 and 25 people that are taking part in the program. The program has attracted people from all kinds of different industries. We've had people from CPG, companies such as Johnson & Johnson. We've had companies like Manulife and other insurance companies. All the big banks have taken part in the program, as well as telcos, Bell, Rogers, and what have you. And then that's on one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, we've had people who are now starting their own company. They've had some experience. They've been working for a while in other organizations, and they've gone out on their own. So they're small. They're looking to hone some of the skills they may have relied on departments to fill at other times. So it gives you a really good blend of people that are in the program. Typically, you've all had the same amount of business experience or in similar roles. So it gives a very much a peer-to-peer feeling in terms of how the program goes. One of the things that a lot of people like is that the certificate you get is from a university. It's from the Schulich School of Business, which is a well-known, well-ranked university. And every year we go through the program to make sure that we are giving you what you need to be relevant by getting feedback, not only from the people who develop it, people that are in industry, we've put together in the process of expanding advisory boards for people within the industry, but we also get feedback from the people who are actually doing this job day in, day out, who have taken the course and say to us, hey, listen, it could be better if you were to do the following. We actually get feedback at the end of every session, and because of the way it's developed, we have an opportunity to now give some of your feedback to the instructors who will be developing and presenting subsequent models, just to make sure this program is honed as much as possible and tailored to the needs of the people in the group. In terms of the content, as I said, we're going to make sure that you will be as up to date as possible in the key areas that we're finding to be important. And I'm going to go through and actually list the topics later on in the webinar. Things that we're finding really important, it's, as I said before, it's the building of communities, whether it's a sponsorship community, whether it's your brand community, whether it's the community of peers that you put together. All of these things today have become part of the new marketing norm. And how can you leverage one to start building the areas of others? The whole area of PR and trust. We've had so much fake, not just fake news, but fake PR out there. How is it that you create a public relations campaign that people understand truly is PR, and one that you can get aired without having to advertise in that particular marketing vehicle? And again, being able to do these things requires building a relationship of trust with the various media outlets, as well as trust with your consumers. So we're going to take you through how to do that as part of this program. And as I said earlier, customer centricity is a big part of it. And if you're going to have really great customer-centric programs, you need creativity. But creativity comes not just in terms of your customer programs and how you position your brand and the things that you do to make sure that your brand is viewed in the marketplace the way that you would like for it to be viewed. To do that, you sometimes have to know when to break the rules. So this year we've added a component that talks about that very thing. Steve Pulver, who is one of our faculty members, sold his company, Mill Street Brewery, not that long ago, also headed up a couple of major advertising agencies. And over the years, he has learned more so probably than any other marketer that I know how to break the rules in a way to create impact and to make your campaign stand apart from everybody else. So he does a whole session on what rules should be broken, which ones you can never break, and then knowing the difference. It sounds a little bit like one of those programs where you say, you know, the courage is being able to change. I can't remember how that goes, but you understand I'm sure you know the quote. All the way along, we look at it in terms of how are you going to be actually able to implement the knowledge that we give you. So the final culminating activity is a case. We give it to you in the very first session, which is in the second night that you're with us. One of the senior members from that particular organization comes, presents the case to you. There's a dinner, and you'll have an opportunity to ask that executive and members of her team questions about the case. And then you start working with your teammates. You collaborate, and this case is presented to us on the very last day. So as part of this, you can imagine the goals would be to help you do well on the case, of course, but to do so, you're going to have an expanded knowledge in the area of marketing communications and all the component pieces that are part of it. So every single session that we have is going to lay another feather on that scale to help to build the foundations we start to go. And then not only how do you build the foundation for yourself, but how do you bring it back into your organization? And what are the things that you need to do to be able to share that with your team? So there's a session on helping you improve your leadership skills, especially in the area related to marketing communications. And you'll have plenty of opportunities to practice that. There's a self-assessment tool that is part of it, which will show you how to look at the areas where you may want to grow a little bit, and actually how to take some concrete steps moving forward. And for a lot of the participants, this self-evaluation, this look at how they can grow personally, is one of the more interesting and enjoyable parts of the course. And as part of it, not only helping you within your organization, but showing you how, through the use of case histories and integration with the various modules, but we're looking at it, how do we leverage the experience of the people that are in the room as well. So we may ask you to share some of your experiences, give you experiential exercises that enable you to share opinions, so you're learning from each other as well as from the instructors. We find that's a very good way for you to be able to synthesize the material you're getting right away. And to do that, we are going to make sure that the topics are relevant to you. As part of being able to communicate with your team members and being able to help coach them along the way, we want to give you opportunities to not only improve some of your skills, but how do you now create a peer-to-peer network, so that if you run into trouble or you need to answer a question or you experience something that has not come across your desk before, who can you reach out to get help? And of course, you can always reach out to your instructors, but most people find that if somebody they've taken the course with, they become friends and business associates for years to come, and this can be a very valuable experience. At the end of the day, the overarching goal is to make it possible for you not only to do a better job while you're working to help the organization, but to position you solidly for promotion and perhaps transition elsewhere. In terms of how we look at that, as you might have guessed from what I've said already, it's a very comprehensive learning approach. We give you the technical tools, but then we push you to think a little bit about it, to say, how do we analyze it? We give you some analytical tools, but more importantly, we help you learn how to improve your ability to think critically. People coming into this program are already good in those areas, but could use a little bit of fine-tuning in some areas. And sometimes by looking at cases that are outside your area of expertise, enables you to have that penny drop and say, oh, okay, I see how this could apply in a more general or a broader situation. Sometimes you find that by hearing somebody's experience that comes from another industry, it solidifies the knowledge you have, because now you've got different ways in which you can apply it. One of the things that we run as a company is peer-to-peer networking sessions. There are morning sessions where we find people from the same industry share how to solve a problem. And a hotel industry may solve it differently than a fashion industry, than solve it than the auto industry. And what we find is that by allowing people who have a similar problem that come at it from different perspectives, everybody's experience is enhanced. And that's what the SEEK program does. It gives you the ability to be able to learn from each other, as I've said a couple of times now, but also how do you take that learning and now bring it into an organization? So it's not just the how to solve it, but how to manage the people along the way so they can hear your idea. Again, building on your leadership skills. As we start to look at it, as I said before, getting you to have a cohort of people that you can work with makes a big difference. Part of that will be working on the case history together. And at the end of the day, we're also going to give you a team of faculty members that will help you through the process. And the team consists of two things, very important. Academics who have done a lot of research in the area. They are subject matter experts. They've done research. They've, in many instances, also worked with corporations in both public sector and the corporate for-profit sector, and often published papers, and they're going to bring that level of academic rigor to the process. Combine that with people who have been working in their fields for years and years and years and considered to be some of the top members in their industries or in their subject field of expertise. The program itself has been designed to work best for the people who are going to be taking it. It's been done so that you have a series of short modules that last for 3 days each. And a lot of the people over the years have said, well, can you try it in different ways? So SEEK actually did that. They tried doing it once a month. They tried doing it in different ways. And what they found, and what participants have told us over the years, is that the least amount of disruption happens when you come for 3 days at a time. You do it at the end of the month. You're able to get everything done that has to be done at work, so you're not fielding those phone calls that when you're out of the office for a day, people don't seem to understand, hey, I'm out of the office. You still get inundated with emails and are ability to be able to go onto our phone these days is so seductive that we can't help to listen to that siren call of our cell phone. So what we do is we put you into 3-day sessions, quite intense. And by having those 3-day sessions, it also enables you more opportunities to actually work with the peers that are in the program and to form better relationships. Because when it's just one day, people tend to go home at the end of the day and that's it. At least now you've got an opportunity to be able to perhaps hang out a little bit afterwards, which some people do, or to be able to spend the lunch hours working on the project, to be able to do different things together, which is why we've done it, as I said, in 4 sessions of 3 days. Now, one of the questions that people will have is, well, great, there's this case, and maybe you're going to give us some extra work too. I'm really busy. I'm juggling kids. I'm juggling parents, whatever it is that you have on your plate. We understand that you are busy professionals that have lives as well, and you have a little bit of work-life balance that you want to have working in there. So the case has been designed so that you can work with members of your team during the session itself. We give you a little bit of extra time. You have a full hour for lunch, which is why we do that. And as you can see, there's some breakout rooms that we make available to students. There's always going to be a breakout room that we can, or space that we can allow you to use to work on that project in between. There will be the occasional short reading that you have to do, and it's nothing onerous in terms of prepping for the next session. And in between, there will be an exercise that gets given to you. It will be distributed online, and it will be something that you are able to use to take what you've learned and now apply it in your own business. So that's what the program is about. Quite frequently we are asked, yeah, but who should go to the program? Typically, as I said before, if you've been working in your field for a little while, and typically you're a decision maker who's been working for about 5 to 7 years, it does not have to be with the same company. And during that time, you may have had promotions to the point where you're now a more senior person. That's fabulous. So we want to make sure that you've had some experience working on it. Most people are on the client side, but we've had a lot of people come from advertising agencies as well. We've had people from PR firms. We've had people that are, as I said before, working for major corporations, as well as people going out on their own. And we've had some that are from government, some that are not-for-profits, or what some people in the United States call social sector. And I mention that because we've had people fly in from Croatia, Dubai, and other places around the world because the program is that good. It's really interesting when we get to see the types of people that are joining us for the program. In terms of the focus, we've broken it into 4 key sectors. So knowledge of trends and the issues that are coming up that are important. And not only the issues that we have been seeing evolve over the last 4 or 5 years, but what's on the forefront now? What are people talking about? And how has the way in which people look at social responsibility evolved and is continuing to evolve? We're starting to see that there are all kinds of legal things that changed. And it's not just legal, but political. What are some of the things that we as marketers have to take into account given the political climate that is changing? And when there's a little bit of uncertainty, especially south of our border, what are some of the things that we need to look at? And how are we using tech differently? What are the changes that in my own business, I see that regularly. How we're using technology may change, but more importantly, our clients' need for how they use tech might change, what might make a difference in terms of how they can now engage with us, or how that marketing message needs to be sent to them, or how the message itself needs to be tailored accordingly. And as part of that, we're also going to help you figure out not only how you can think about those topics a little bit differently, but as I said before, how can you now use the data effectively, and how can you help other members of your team to be able to share in that knowledge, to share in the skills that you've acquired, and for you to manage a little bit better as you go along the way. I told you I would tell you the elements that are included in this year's curriculum. All of these are things that you can take a look at on the website. The website will be updated at the beginning of August, and you'll be able to see the people that will be delivering these programs right now. You've got a list of the instructors in the brochure that is downloadable, but we will be updating with the bios of the people that are part of the program. But as an example, the public relations component is delivered by one of the leading experts on the subject, one of the founders of Edelman. So we know that we've got some very strong people that are part of this program. As I said, very strong people have great experience in their field, all of them highly respected in their industry. So to sum up, the certificate that you get will be from a university. And there are a few other programs out there, but there is no other program, and we've done some digging to see if this is the case, no other program as comprehensive as this that is offered at an executive level that is coming from a respected university and business school. It's very short in terms of the overall components. You're done in 4 months. Intense bursts of period, as we said, that enable you to get really immersed in the material and to be able to have access to your faculty members, many of whom will stay and either have breakfast with you or lunch, and you get an opportunity to meet them. You have an opportunity to meet the client whose case it is, to ask questions, to be able to ask questions in between, and then to present to the client afterwards. At the end of the day, you're going to be able to add value not only to yourself personally, but to your organization. And there are tools available to make this a lot more affordable for you if that is one of the concerns. Some of our participants, I'd like to almost end with some of their comments. Schlumberger, Marketing Communications Manager, says this program provides an excellent foundation for all marketing communications professionals. The value of the course is learning from industry experts and classmates. The networking of this program extends the value of the material. And I've heard that from so many people who have gone through this program. I've been talking with a couple of people that have done similar programs to this through SEEK. I used to teach one of them myself, and they always say the same thing. It's what we learn from other people that is so critical. Grace Kennedy's Senior Product Development Manager says the course material was excellent and facilitators were awesome. More importantly, or most importantly, the participants made the difference as we now all feel so close to each other. And again, they get to be able to reach out and get help if they need it. For the Toronto Montessori schools, their director says this course is of value to anyone in marketing communications who wants to be at the top of his or her game. It's a great experience overall with inspiring instructors that develop a sense of Marcom community from day one. As an executive, I've taken many courses over the years, and truly it's one of the best experiences I've had. Ontario, or rather OLG's brand manager says, the Master's Marketing Communication course encompasses all the elements of marketing communications and provides the integrated approach of all the elements into a single mix. Each session provided insight I could implement into our everyday activities. And that's key, being able to get material that you can now use when you go back to work. So these are the things that we covered. I gave you a little bit of an introduction to why and who. I took you through the program. I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask questions. But you're probably wondering why it says being memorable for the right reasons. And that's part of what brand is. That's part of the story behind the McMahon quote that I gave you. But I'd like you to consider, what is the career story that you want to tell? When you've been all through this program, or one similar, and you're starting to consider what would enhance your career, what will your brand include, your own personal brand? So I'm not sure if you have any questions or not. If you do, you can go and look at the website. You're always welcome to reach out to me. I'm Jane-Michele Clark. Deb McKenzie's on the line. Those are our email addresses down below. I don't know if you're able to type in questions or if you've had anything you'd like to ask. If so, please, I'd love to hear from you.
Jane-Michele, I just want to mention one thing, that AMA Toronto also endorses this program. That's the American Marketing Association, the Toronto chapter. And we would like, they offer a 10% discount as well. So I apologize.
Thank you for adding that. Yeah, I mentioned it, but I didn't know about the discount. Thank you for adding that.
Okay, and I think Nancy does have a question.
Yeah, there's one question here. It says, from Nancy, it says, my employer will not consider applying for the Ontario Job Grant. Are there any other grants you might know of that I can apply for?
Okay, great. And that would probably help answer that question. There are no other grants available. However, the AMA discount is a 10% discount, which is about a $900 savings. So that will help you, as well as the payment plan. Those will be the two things that we can offer up.
Just out of curiosity, I'm an employer as well. We have been able to apply for these grants before. They were pretty easy. I don't know if it would help your employer or your direct report if he or she spoke with Deb to get some sense of that. It's just something I'm sure Deb would be willing to speak with them if it made a difference.
Jane-Michele, I actually can see the company. I won't say it, but it's a big logistics company or transportation company, and they have a lot of employees that take our programs.
Understood.
So you can only apply once every 6 months. I guess it's hard for them to figure out which employee. So yeah, so thank you.
Nancy, did you have any other questions you'd like to ask?
She says, no, thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you. And I really hope that we have the pleasure of seeing you in one of our programs, especially this one. And if you have any questions at all, please, please feel free to reach out either to me or to Deb. We'd be happy to chat at any point. And with that, we close the webinar, and I'm going to ask Virginia to stop broadcasting, if you could, please.
Bye.
Bye-bye.